Hi, I'm Teresa, registered dietitian here with a Master of Professional Practice in Dietetics. I am here just to share my passions about women's health, nutrition, and covering those topics that can help you learn how to nourish your body in a simple way so that you can not only survive but thrive in life. I'm all about sustainability, simplicity, but also learning how you can learn nutrition and apply it to your life that best suits you and your needs. So today's topic of choice is one that I really have been kind of reading into and thinking about lately, and that is macro counting and intuitive eating. And can they coexist? Can you do both? Or do you have to do one or the other? That's what we're gonna find out in today's video. We're also gonna cover how these two, macro counting and intuitive eating, how you can apply them into your journey to better health overall, health and vitality, maybe like better hormone balances, things like that. As I was going through these clips, I wanted to ensure that I addressed the fact that these are two very controversial topics. And if you feel strongly about one or the other, that's okay. I am just sharing my kind of nutrition philosophy, my outlook on these topics, and I just really want people to understand that things can integrate together. And so if you're a strong intuitive eater, a strong macro counter, good for you. I'm happy for you. If it works for you, that's amazing. But this is just for informational purposes only, so take it as it is and take it as you want and go from there. Okay, back to the video. So first off, we do have intuitive eating, and a lot of intuitive eating, I can confidently say intuitive eating saved me from myself. When I read the book from the Intuitive Eating Guide back when I was kind of struggling with my relationship with food, it did help me. It helped me for a time to get out of, to heal that relationship with food, to heal my view as to what food can actually do for me, rather than looking at food as the enemy or like certain food groups as the enemy. Intuitive eating is fantastic and it is wonderful, but just like anything, it's not the end all be all. So in my work with nutrition and as a dietitian, I find that you can use intuitive eating principles that are wonderful. You honor your hunger, you honor your fullness, or like eat to satiety, and then you're also paying attention to different types of hunger. There's also a foods fit outlook, which is great. It's great and all to neutralize food and understand that it gives you energy, understand that eating one food or one meal won't cause a huge detriment to your life either. Like, that's something important to understand too, which I think intuitive eating touches on very well. Intuitive eating is a wonderful tool in the toolbox. Like I said, it is not the end all be all. It is something we can utilize and incorporate into really any journey that we're on, whether that be fat loss journey, whether that be a weight gain journey, muscle gain journey, like a hormone healing journey. Intuitive eating is wonderful. Those principles, I think, are needed in a journey to make things lifelong, because I don't believe on going on short-term diets. I don't believe that, because yeah, you might go on a diet and you might see results in the short term, but how is that setting you up for 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now? And just really paying attention to your own body and your body's cues and just getting to know your body so well, utilizing intuitive eating principles can be game changer for you lifelong. And then we have macro counting. So macro counting is essentially where you see it. You break down your protein, your carbohydrates, your fats. The one thing about macro counting is, yes, you do focus on all the macronutrients, that make up a meal component, and then you have macros for the whole day. Great. But oftentimes what gets overlooked is the micronutrients. What's the quality of the food you're eating? Not just the quantity, but the quality of proteins, the quality of carbs, the quality of fats, the quality of fiber. So for example, you see all these yummy recipes out there that are macro friendly, right? And so you can have this brownie, but it's full of sugar-free syrup, it's full of a bunch of crumbled sugar-free cookies or things like that, which are okay sprinkled in there here and now. But when we start making that a repetitive habit of just eating to hit the macros but not eating to hit your macros and trying to eat for nourishment, that's different. My view on macros, you can take this as you will. If you like macros, that's fine. Macros can be utilized as such a great tool, especially for somebody not coming from a nutrition related background. Macros can be a helpful tool, but I don't believe it needs to be used forever. But it can be something you can utilize to see, what does 4 ounces of protein look like? What does a serving of rice look like? How can I incorporate that in so that I can build a meal that, 1, balances my blood sugar, 2, is nourishing my body, giving me the energy it needs, 3, nourishing my hormones because I'm balancing my blood sugar, I'm getting the energy I need, and then 4, enough protein, because we're often under eating protein. And then going back to the quality of foods that we're eating, we could eat all the plant-based proteins in the world, right? And we could eat 100 grams of plant-based protein in a day, but it's not going to be absorbed the same as if you were to eat a complete quality protein like chicken, fish, eggs, etc. So that's kind of my stance on macros. Is like, I truly believe it doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be all intuitive eating, because I did all intuitive eating in the beginning when I was healing my relationship with food. Yes, it was needed. Yes, it's what saved me from myself. I believe that. I stand by it. But it can't be the end all be all. I truly believe we have to have this open book, open toolbox, let's say, open toolbox with a lot of different sections in it, that we put the intuitive eating in there. And now, okay, maybe we want to learn a little bit more as to how much are you actually eating. You might think on intuitive eating that you are eating enough, but when you're coming from a disordered relationship with food, you're probably not. So just to be honest with you, I was not eating enough intuitive eating. That's all I was doing. And it was needed for a time, but then I had to become more intentional about what I was eating and in the amounts I was eating. I was under eating protein, I was under eating carbohydrates, but I was being intuitive with it. I was being intuitive, so that means I'm healthy, right? Yes, you are, but you can also allow room for being more intentional, like with macronutrient counting, but then you're not, again with that, you're not just counting macros like it's regimented, but you're focused on the nourishment coming from those macros, right? So I kind of went on a little tangent there, but I just want you guys to understand my viewpoint on that. It doesn't have to be this all or nothing approach. The all foods fit mantra, fantastic. It works. It's fine. That neutralizes food for you so that you can go out and have a meal out in a social setting and not feel guilty about it. How amazing. But then macros can help you understand, okay, I'm eating intuitively, but what am I actually intaking? Am I only intaking 50 grams of protein and just a little bit of carbohydrates and a little bit of fat? Or am I meeting those macronutrient goals with the thought of eating for nourishment too, not just hitting the macros, remember that? I truly believe if we pair intuitive eating principles along with macro counting just for like a week or two, seeing where you're naturally at and seeing where we can improve, we can find this beautiful integration of eating with intention but also eating intuitively. You don't have to be one or the other, which is amazing, right? Like, you don't have to identify, I'm an intuitive eater and that's all I ever will be. That was me a couple of years ago, until I learned the beauty of understanding how much you're actually eating and then letting that go and letting those intuitive principles come back in, getting your hunger cues back, having that naturally, but also while eating enough. Like, it's pretty insane how that can work. I think you just have to ebb and flow with seasons of life, right? Sometimes when you do macro counting, you can get caught up in it. But I would strongly, strongly, strongly recommend working with a registered dietitian to work on getting some macronutrients set up for you and your body. It depends on your physical activity, your age, your basal metabolic rate too. Like, all that stuff plays a role into it. And we can use a calculation as much as we want, but then we gotta take into account what's your outside life like? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you very social? Are you being pulled in 1,000 different directions on a day-to-day basis? That's a lot of external stressors on the body that we have to take into account too. So that's why it's super important to work alongside a professional, especially a registered dietitian, to get your macros and get those set up in a way that suits you and your needs. So yeah, that's kind of what I have for this video. It's nothing like super like substantial, but I wanted to come on here to share my viewpoint on that. This beautiful integration where intentional eating with incorporating macronutrients and learning how much you're eating, but eating with intention for nourishment, totally different story. And you pair that with the intuitive eating principles as well, having those in the back of your mind so that you can integrate them together. It's not really about this balance between the two. It's about integrating them together. If you find that you're having trouble with your relationship with food, maybe start with intuitive eating. And then if you're having trouble with being too caught up in the macro counting, maybe direct yourself to intuitive eating, but also understand that you do not have to weigh out every food gram for gram for the rest of your life. You don't. You just don't. But you can learn to see, what does 4 ounces of protein at a meal actually feel like in my body? Do I feel fuller for a longer period of time? When you were just eyeballing it before, when you were intuitive eating, and maybe you were only eating like 2 ounces of protein, then you were hungry like an hour later, but you didn't know that because you didn't understand how much 4 ounces of protein look like. I emphasize on the protein a lot because protein's so underrated and it's so under consumed by a lot of people, and it's so important for your hormones, ladies. Like, it is so important to be eating enough protein, and for building muscle and for keeping muscle mass on your body. But tangent. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and it was just kind of a fun video to hop on and show you my thoughts and share my thoughts and really show my passion for not this all or nothing approach to nutrition, but really integrating different tools in your toolbox that can help you be successful for your goals, your body, and just to help you thrive in life. So thank you so much for watching this video again. I will say I'm in the strength and nourishment era where I'm just have a goal of eating with that intention plus this intuitive principles. That's why that's part of my inspiration for this video. But strength and nourishment era, ladies, that's where it's at for me right now. And it's about challenging my body in workouts, but also challenging my body with the nutrition that I'm fueling it with and fueling it enough, and making sure that I have a nice integration of enough sleep, some quality rest, some social time, all those things. And nutrition, lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, and an optimal womanly functioning body is possible while enjoying life.